Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, today I have Huaming Sheri Tang on the line, and she's Chief Effect Designer over at Butterfly Effect Consulting. Huaming, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
So excited to get into today's topic. So we're going to talk about inclusiveness and empowerment of well-designed circular economies. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Butterfly Effect Consulting. Tell us a little bit more about your practice,
sure.
Please.
So I hope the name of the company itself kind of eludes what I'm trying to do. I hope everyone knows the saying that about the butterfly effect. Basically, the fluttering of a butterfly wing thousands of miles away could have tremendous impact far away and far stretching. So the idea of the company is trying to look at that kind of impact of small actions and small decisions that individuals and companies make on a day-to-day and also on a long-term basis, how they will affect the overall well-being of the individual, the family, the society, and even the universe at large, kind of connecting the dots and making the connection more mindfully.
So, and thank you for that. So at the end of this interview, I'm going to give you an opportunity to leave, contact information or for, so the business owners or entrepreneurs can connect with you in your practice. That being said, what are typically the right types of clients that are usually a good fit to work with Butterfly Effect Consulting?
So people who kind of feel like, are there any other ways that we can live our lives, making purchase choices, or if they feel like there's any area that they really wanted to dive deep into in their own day-to-day decision-making and also have a long-term goal, if there's some potential social issue they wanted to work on. So I try to help them to look at the way that they can make an impact by making specific choices early on. For example, like the way I got into this is because I really kept thinking about plastic use. So I went back to look at the data of how plastic was come about to our life. What did people really thought about? Like, what will be the impact of using plastic everywhere? So that's the kind of thing I wanted to really help people to at least to be in the thought process about small things we do individually and collectively when we put a new product in the market, when we started a new type of conversation, when we start a new kind of way of living. I also work on autonomous driving. That's another area that I would like to help people just to understand from a kind of collective action perspective of how we can make that technology a better technology for everyone, that we really thought beforehand proactively about all the effect it could have on every aspect of our life.
So I love this, and I love the concept, and I think this is a great transition also into, our overall topic, really inclusiveness, empowerment, and a well-designed circular economy. I mean, what is a well-designed circular? And I know it's a big topic, so obviously we're not going to have all the answers in a 10 to 15 minute interview. But what are some of the attributes or the themes that you see that are good in a well-designed, circular economy?
Right. So a normal business or any kind of planning, sometimes you do this kind of more limited goal setting, the way that I wanted to challenge people. So I also have a background in corporate social responsibility through my MBA program. And then in those programs, my school was known to really look at the triple bottom lines. A lot of times when we look at the way a normal U.S. kind of profit-oriented company operates, they really just focusing on profit alone. The more and more, especially nowadays when we have a few generations, people really wanted to think about, is the world going to a better place? We're at a pivotal point where a business can do so much more than just generating profit. It can generate profit, but also holding on to an ideal that what the business is doing is actually taking the world and its consumer to a better place.
That's awesome.
So, for me, holistic part, I'm also a yoga practitioner, and the yoga practice is all about being in the present, but being holistic, connecting the mind and the body, and then with the universal energy. So I'm trying to bring the business side of me, the spiritual side of me, but also just overall really wanting to pass on to the next generation a better version of the earth that we can continue on. So there are a few areas that I really focus on. One is farm culture. In the U.S. especially, we have destroyed so much of the local rural area because of factory farming. And I was just recently reading an article about this book by Kimberly that wrote about the Wisconsin election, about how the rural consciousness was so distraught by what the city people are. So I'm trying to offer a plan that everyone can be included, that when it benefits people living in the city, it could also benefit people living in the rural area. And we can do this because if we rethink, sometimes we have to revamp entire existing system, such as factory farming system, that we can actually empower local communities to really design a business that they feel that they have more in power. And then they can also connect with other people who they traditionally feel so disconnected with because they have very different values. So we're trying to find a common ground of those values.
That's awesome. I love it. And so what do you think are, and again, this isn't going to be like we're not solving all the problems in one episode, but what do you think are some of the low-hanging fruit, like some of those things that business owners and entrepreneurs, a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives right now listening that they follow your line of thought and they want to do better for a lot of these things you're mentioning. What are some things that they should be thinking about, like some actions that they can take?
I think it's just building a community of people that think like you, but also think differently from you. So a lot of times we get into this echo chamber that we only hang out with people that think exactly like us. So I actually wanted people to meet and connect and network with as many people, get as many different opinions, so we can really be truly inclusive and empowering. We're not just empowering one sector. A problem for a specific community could very well be the same problem another community is trying to solve, but they just look at it at a completely different perspective. So really trying to distill just humanity, just humanness, that we all are in this together and we all actually have shared struggles. And so we can only really understand that once we reach out across very different communities, different backgrounds, and different viewpoints.
That's awesome. So that being said, first off, thank you again for coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great stuff you're doing over at Butterfly Effect Consulting. If somebody's listening to this and they want to follow up and they want to learn more about working with you and your team, I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out to connect?
Yeah, so they can find me on LinkedIn. Again, my name is Huaming, that's Huaming, and Sheri is Sheri. And my last name is Tang, like in Wu-Tang, Tang. They can also email me at butterflyeffectconsulting@outlook.com.
Fantastic. Well, Huaming, again, thank you again for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And to our audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review in the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Business, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Huaming, welcome again to the show.
Thanks so much, Adam. It's been a pleasure to be on the show.